And we are going to be talking about a new link to start the stream off, and that is George's Mikautadze of Villarreal. Paul O'Keefe has tweeted, George's Mikautadze is among the names attracting interest from Tottenham as they look to strengthen their attack. Himothy replied to that tweet saying he believes Mikautadze would be in alternative to Cody Gakpo if he is to be considered. George's Mikautadze is more of a typical number 9. He likes to play in more of a front 2 with Moreno for Villarreal. Very much a technical, nimble kind of forward. Scored 13 goals and got 6 assists last season for Villarreal in La Liga. But didn't start. He only started 23 games. So if you go as a per 90 kind of metric, he was getting 0.8 goal contributions per 90, which is nearly basically 1 in every 5 games he would blank, essentially. So he was quite prolific last season with his goal contributions. I don't remember a couple years ago, Brian, at the Euros 2024, he was playing for Georgia and they had a brilliant Euros campaign and he was a leading star for them. He was also had a very good spell at Lyon before moving to Villarreal, where he's had to have a very good season there. He's obviously a player I could see working really well in a Roberto De Zerbi system in the way he kind of shapes up as a number 9. He creates as well as scores. So I do think the way we play our number 9s with him dropping it a bit deeper, linking with our other forwards, getting involved with the wingers, getting involved with the number 10s and midfielders. I mean, this is quite an interesting kind of link, in my opinion. Not one we've considered too much on this channel or heard about, but maybe one that could surprise a few people. What do you reckon, Brian?
This all broke, obviously, today. I think he could be ideal for us. He is obviously, we've been looking a lot at wingers that can play centre forward. This is kind of the other way around, isn't it? It's a striker that can, if need be, play on the wing. He is a goal scorer. Like you said, if you take, he only started 23 games and got 13 goals. This is a 9 that I think could be in the box, have that predatory instinct for goals. Just trying to think, Sim, in lines of forward options, is this our 5, 6, 7 or 8 players that we've been linked with during this week alone? There's been quite a few. But for a forward, I don't understand why people are comparing him to Cody right now. And people will know why I'm not trying to say his surname.
Yes.
He is more a winger. I don't think if we get Cody, he's coming to be a striker. So comparing Cody to, I'm going to call him Georges because I'm going to get that surname bloody wrong.
Georges, no chance you get that one right.
Not a chance, especially with no sleep and why trying that name. But this guy is a more out-and-out goal scorer that will bully defenders and give them a torrid time. So I would welcome this transfer.
Yeah, whenever I've seen of him, I've always been very impressed. He's a good finisher, good technical ability in around the penalty box. But I like the way he also links with other players. He gets assists as well. He's a creator as well as a goal scorer. He kind of, for me, he's kind of in the mould of a Krupi, a Julian Alvarez, a Omar Marmoush. He's that kind of forward for me. Like, I think he's maybe more of a box player than those players, but I think he's that kind of forward where he likes to drop deep, he likes to play in and around the edge of the area. He's a really top finisher as well, in and around the box. I think this is quite an interesting option. I think he's been quite consistently effective for a number of clubs now. So maybe Tottenham are looking at him thinking, he's proven himself in Liga and he's proven himself in La Liga. He's moved to other divisions and done really well. So maybe he could maybe make that step up to the Premier League. The only thing I would say about him is he's very technical. He's a very tricky player, but he's not got elite pace. He's not got elite strength and physicality. And in the modern day Premier League, those things are becoming more and more important as each year passes, as each team gets more and more physical. to compete with the top teams. So we've seen with obviously them lot down the road, they very much focused last season on maximising their physical attributes and getting the most out of them. So does Mikautadze kind of represent that physical kind of premium that the Premier League is now offering? That's my biggest question mark, but just purely as a footballer and about what he offers in the forward line, I really like this link. And if we could maybe sell one of our strikers and bring him in, I think that's a real upgrade technically. And I think both our forwards are probably a bit more, definitely with Solanke, a bit more on the physical side. So I think he offers that more technical option potentially if the likes of Marmoush and Krupi and them lot are not kind of attainable this summer.
Yeah, I think what I do love about him as well is his movement. His movement off the ball and finding the right space and everything. You look at it at Richarlison and Solanke, and if you were to try and actually give some pros about them, their movement would certainly not be one of them. So he would give defenders something to think about. It would be a different option. I spoke to you earlier before we've done this whilst I was still at work, and I said to you, I genuinely believe, and people will call me delusional now, and I look forward to it. I genuinely believe that Spurs are trying to bring Harry Kane home. Whether it happens or whether it doesn't, I honestly don't know, and I doubt it. But I honestly think, with everything going so quiet and now all these rumours coming out, we all say there's been a lot of people that think there's something big going on behind the scenes. I genuinely believe, not saying it will happen, but I genuinely believe Spurs are trying to explore if it's possible to bring him home. And if it is, then, and it becomes a genuine, then obviously we all know what we're going to say. But we'll see. That's my...
Is that just a gut feeling? Is that what it's from?
Mate, I have absolutely no inside information whatsoever. Like I said, I'm positive.
This isn't the first Brian ITK we're having on the channel.
No, the last one I had was Solanke wouldn't be out for 3 weeks, and that was bang on, wasn't it?
Yeah,
remember
true.
That? Yeah, that was absolutely spot on. But that's an easy one to get. Solanke's injuries more than first thought. I genuinely believe. Not that it's going to happen, but I genuinely believe Spurs are trying to do all they can to do it. And these may just be smokescreens. My God, if I'm right, I'm going to look like a genius. But if I'm wrong, which I probably am, then I'll get what's coming to me. But this would be an option.
That contract remains unsigned, doesn't it?
Exactly. It's unsigned. We haven't heard from Harry. We haven't heard from Bayern. We haven't heard... So like I said, I'm not saying that I think it's going to happen. I actually genuinely think Spurs are looking into it. Do you remember when I came on a few weeks ago with you two, you and Ben, and I said if there was ever a time to try and tempt him and say match our ambition, well, have a look what we're doing, Harry. And like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know anything, but I genuinely believe Spurs are looking at it.
Well, let's see. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting if Bayern are making moves for any big strikers, and then maybe that could hint at something. That would be quite the story if we could bring Harry Kane back to Tottenham. You would feel like someone would have got wind of it by now if that was the case, but maybe everyone is just keeping their cards very close to their chest. Let's see.
Maybe it's on a very need-to-know basis, and they have kept it quiet between like the very, very, very top. Like I said, I do not know. Am I saying it's going to happen? No. Do I think Spurs are genuinely trying? Yes.
Well, but at the moment, Mikautadze is the latest name. In terms of a potential striker outgoing, there has been a report today about Dominic Solanke, which you might be happy about. According to Longari on X, he says, Nottingham Forest are keeping a close eye on Dominic Solanke and on the profile of Dominic Solanke, as there is a chance the striker is leaving Tottenham this summer. He's obviously a journalist out in Italy. There haven't been many rumours about Dom Solanke leaving. Obviously, De Zerbi said yesterday or a few days ago he believes Solanke is one of the best strikers in the Premier League, in his opinion, trying to give him a boost of confidence. He was also quite coy on the future of Richarlison, saying Richarlison sometimes he wants to leave, sometimes he wants to stay, but he couldn't give much assurances about Richarlison's future. Dominic Solanke to Forest, Brian. Do you think this could be a goer?
Please. And they said they're keeping a close eye. Can they keep more close eyes on it? Multiple sets of close eyes on it. And I'm sure we're going to talk about news about Maddison. I'm sure that's coming or whatever. But right now, I would give Bergvall and Solanke to bring. Romero has 3 words, which are here we go. I have 3 words, and they are Morgan, Gibbs, White. Because we'll talk more about Maddison when it comes there. But I think I spoke with Ben. We need options at 10. We really do. And if there is a possibility to get Solanke and Bergvall out the door in exchange for MGW, I'll do it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
So you do straight swap?
Immediately.
Add some money on top of that as well?
If we had, I don't care if we had to. When it comes to that man, if we had to, look at me just spending our money like it's mine, like it's my personal piggy bank. I would love nothing more than to see him here, and I think we desperately need him with what we're hearing about Maddison and options that we need. So I hope that close eye becomes 2 sets of close eyes, 3, 4, 5, and happens.
But in terms of Solanke, what kind of offer for you do you think would tempt Tottenham to part ways with him?
Oh, mate, that is such a hard question. That honestly, because I could give you a very sarcastic answer, and it would be I'd pay them. But if we're being serious here on money, what we paid 65, was our club record signing at the time of signing. Even if it was 50% of that, I'd be astounded and say we pulled Forest pants down. So what would you say value wise?
Look, for me, I'm not as low on Solanke as a lot of people. I think there's a good striker in there. I think there is a good player in there. What I do think about Solanke is over the past 6 months especially, the past year, ever since his first season, well, to be honest, probably about 18 months, I would say now at this point. The time's getting bigger. There's been problems with Solanke, whether it be injuries, lack of confidence, difference. I just cast my mind back to when we first signed him, and those first 6 months, I did think he was a good player. I think he played well for Tottenham. Like, I was looking at some of the numbers of his first season at Spurs under Ange before he picked up that injury that ruled him out for, I think, 3 months at the time. And I think his first 17 games, he got 11 goal contributions, and he was scoring goals regularly. He was playing well. I think Tottenham were playing fairly well at that point as well. And I was quite happy with him. He was pressing aggressively. He seemed like a guy full of confidence, just joined a big club. He got that move off the back of a really good season at Bournemouth. And I did really like him. And then ever since he picked up that ankle injury, there's been problems with him. He was then out for 3 months. He did come back at the back end of that season under Ange and actually did score a few goals that, got us over the line in the Europa League. Scored in both legs against Boda in the semi-final. But obviously didn't play actually that much in the Premier League because we were obviously resting players for that Europa League. And then the next season comes, Frank gets appointed. He's then out mysteriously for about 6 months at that point. And then when he came back, he did score a few goals. I remember he scored in 3 Champions League games in a row, scored that brace against Man City in the Premier League. So it wasn't all bad, but definitely he didn't look the same. He looked low on confidence. He looked like he didn't trust his body as much. And especially late last season, he was struggling. But then again, I would say, under De Zerbi, we haven't seen him. We just haven't seen. He was being injured. So we haven't seen what a De Solanke will look like in a De Zerbi system. Those 7 games he got injured for. So I think he gets a bad rap from this fan base for lots of different reasons. I think because he's our record signing and he was this big striker coming to the club and he hasn't really worked out. The fact that he's been injury prone, and then following on from the fact that we've had another injury prone striker in Richarlison, so he gets like thrown in with him as these injury prone strikers who just can't stay fit, who are, you know, surplus to requirements. On top of that, I don't think he is an elite striker overall. I just don't think he is. I think he could be a very good striker, but I don't think he's ever going to be elite. I don't think he's a top finisher. I think he could be a serviceable finisher if given the chances, but he's not a striker when we've been kind of accustomed to the likes of Harry Kane and Son, where they're just elite of the elite finishers, you know, in our forward line. He's never going to be that. So I think he's always compared to those kind of players, and he's always thrown in with the likes of Richarlison, and the fact that he's been a record player, which heightened expectations. So I think all that thrown in has led to a lot of negativity towards him, and I completely get it. I just think if we get him, I think first of all, De Zerbi's known for getting lots of confidence back into his players. I also think Solanke, before coming to Tottenham, wasn't known as this injury-prone player. He actually played all 38 Premier League games in the season before we signed him. So is he a player who could theoretically get back to full fitness? And if he does, could he stay fit? You know, potentially, yes. Is he a player that we just haven't been given a chance yet under Roberto De Zerbi? And could he get him potentially high on confidence? I believe so. So I'm not desperate to sell as much as a lot of other fans, maybe you even. I'm not as desperate to sell as other fans. Look, if we do get a good offer from Forest, that to me is like 40 million, and we can reinvest that in a top striker, then I'm happy to sell. I'm not sitting here saying we have to keep him, we need to get our money back or anything. I think I'm prepared to take a loss of him, but I'm not as desperate to sell as other fans are on Solanke.
Okay, so there's quite a lot to unpack there, and I'm gonna start with, you mentioned just before how we've been blessed with the Canes and Sons.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a Spurs fan of any age of our history, and I'm not talking about the brand new fans or the teenagers that will only know Kane and Son, like seeing live. Tottenham Hotspur, throughout our illustrious history, have been blessed with the strikers that we've had. Obviously, we've had some stinkers, but we've had your Jimmy Greaves, your Martin Chivers, your Gary Linekers, your Jurgen Klinsmanns, your Dimitar Berbatov, Robbie Keanes, your Jermaine Defoe's. We could go on and name people. There is a high standard that there's always been a prolific goal scorer at this football club that you can say will bang the goals in, that you're assured will get at least 20 goals a season before all this goal contribution with assists. Does Solanke offer that? No. I think, this might be mix and match in the order you did it. I think when we signed Dominic Solanke, like you said, the first part of it, I thought he was very, very good for the team. His hold-up play was brilliant. His running deep to pick up, all of that was brilliant, but he was brought to score goals. Now, obviously, what Ange alluded to on the overlap, and where obviously people like myself were harsh, like when I turned hard, and I believe warrantly so on some attributes, but on other attributes, which I said at the time, but obviously he highlighted it on the overlap. His greatest attribute in his stats, the season we signed him, was he scored the most headed goals in the Premier League. That season, above Haaland, above every single striker in the Premier League. So Spurs bring him in, and that season, when, like I said in the overlap, he wanted winger X and winger that can serve him and deliver him, we did nothing. We did nothing and relied on Maddison and Porro. The man that thrives on crosses, we decided to bring in and don't give him a guy that can cross a football. Then, so we've brought a player in that's got great attribute, and we don't try and home in on that attribute. Like I said, has he been given a chance on De Zerbi? No, for obvious reasons. But I don't know, if we want to be a big club, we've got to sometimes sit around and go, right, this hasn't worked. He may turn out to be, he may get off to a good start with Ange, but then he could pick up an injury and be out for 5-6 months. And the other thing which led to, with injuries, he always picked up injuries at Chelsea and Liverpool. But obviously he wasn't always a starter, so it didn't affect us much because he was on the fringe or whatever. I would, like I said, I think if we get these wingers in, he could be a very good striker for Tottenham. He could. Am I prepared to have him as our starting 9 and the main 9 and going into this season? No. If he was a second fiddle, because Richarlison had gone, fine, let's see what you can do. To go into him as our number 1 striker, no. And like I said, if we could get rid of him, Morgan Gibbs-White scores more in a non-forward position and making runs. So I think if we could get 2 good wingers, Solanke could be very handy. Has his injuries over the time we've had him shown me that we can't rely on him? Absolutely. So if we can cut our losses, absolutely first thing I'll do.
That's fair enough. I'm not saying don't sell him. I'm just saying I'm not desperate to sell. And I would personally sell Richarlison before Solanke, as much as I know Richarlison is also a proven goal scorer. But if we're going to sign someone who we think is going to be that guy who gets goals, I would rather keep Solanke and try and get the best out of him and try and make use of his physical attributes than have Richarlison, who I think, as much as he scores more than, well, at the moment he scores more than Solanke, I think he doesn't do the other stuff as well anywhere near as good as Solanke, in my opinion. So I think if we can keep Solanke and get another one, that would be my preference. And I think right now selling him without someone lined up would be a mistake, unless we have a striker, you know, ready to come in. Obviously, I think we all want a new striker. We all want an upgrade in that position. I'm not sitting here saying don't do that. But I'm also, I think you shouldn't chuck Solanke away as easily, very easily. I think it needs to be a decent offer. I don't think I would sell him for as low as 20 million or anything like that. I think it needs to be, 35 to 40, and then we can sell, and then we can reinvest that. And I think for me there is a good striker in there. I think I did like him when we first got him. And look, I agree, it hasn't worked out. I think you make a lot of valid points. I'm not sitting here saying, he should be our number 1 striker or he's the answer. Far from it. I think we can definitely do a lot better than him, definitely. But I think he's got his uses. I think he's got his talents, and I think we haven't seen the best of him for whatever reason at Spurs. But I also think if he would have stayed fit for the last 7 games, maybe we could have last season, maybe we would all have a different opinion of him. But at the moment, he didn't, and that's the reality.
Yeah, well, the only other thing I'll say that the reason I more keep Richarlison over Solanke is, first of all, Richarlison can offer you to play at left wing as an emergency, like he did a lot for Everton. So he's got that versatility. Not saying we should use him as a left winger, but he is going to be going next season, regardless. We're not going to offer him a new contract. If we don't sell him now, he'll speak to clubs in January, and if there's no bid done, he'll end his contract. So either way, unless it's going to be Everton this summer, I'd rather make some money and profit to reinvest into the team on a Solanke, especially when he is a centre forward that we can't see if he can stay fit, over a Richarlison that can offer you left wing if need be, and we're not going to get any money for. So I would keep Richarlison over him for that reason, not because he's a better player, but because of versatility and contract length. And we're just going to have to wait and see, aren't we? But if he can stay fit, can Solanke do something? Every possibility. We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, let's see. Let's see if we're seriously open to selling him anyway, because right now it's just one report. So let's move on. Let's talk about Cuti Romero. A lot of stuff coming out about Cuti Romero over the last 24 hours. The move to Atletico Madrid seems ever closer. Mateo Moretto claims that Atletico Madrid have reached total agreement with Cuti Romero and is awaiting to finalise the final details with Tottenham. Luca Caraccioni, journalist Djed Spence says Atletico Madrid's renewed bid for Romero is 35 million euros fixed fee plus bonuses. The parties are closer than ever. Gaston Edul claims that Coutinho Romero situation. Inter Milan has a deal with Tottenham, but not yet with Coutinho. Atletico is about to make an offer that matches Inter Milan. The sales of Molina and Almada gave them the room to be able to bid. Arsenal's interest in Romero is real, but the most active club is Atletico Madrid. Alfredo Badula also saying that Arsenal made a new attempt this morning to sign Coutinho Romero from Tottenham. Arsenal, after Coutinho Romero reportedly, according to multiple sources now. I wonder if this is a way of trying to rush Atletico Madrid, or is there genuine interest from Arsenal in Coutinho Romero, which apparently Romero hasn't considered. But according to some reports, Arsenal are willing to offer a much higher fee than Atletico and Inter Milan to get Coutinho Romero through the door. I mean, that would be some turn of events if Arsenal coming in for Coutinho Romero.
It would be, but isn't it nice to see that they're going to get knocked back again? Like, don't get me wrong, Bruno Guimaraes is dead to me. He was my second favourite player outside of Tottenham from MGW, so he's now dead to me. But I just can't see that happening in a million years. I just can't. Do I think Romero would do it? Probably. But do I think it's Atletico Madrid or Spain now? Yeah, I do. And maybe this is just to get another team to get a wriggle on. And isn't it amazing how Arsenal are being used? It's not us this time. We're not the ones being used to raise the price or push the boat or rush people. So what a turn of events. They are the champions, unfortunately. They have strengthened. They look like they're going to be very, very good again this season, unfortunately. But they're not getting Romero.
No, they're not getting Romero. But what does it say about Romero, the fact that a team like Arsenal are reportedly interested? I mean, a lot of people happy to see the back of Romero anyway, want him gone. Apparently Romero wants to leave. But doesn't it say something about the player that he is, if someone like Arsenal was interested in terms of his quality?
I put a tweet out a couple of days ago, the day that you and Ben did the press conference from De Zerbi. I even put my membership chat in. I don't care about the price or anything to do with Romero now. Just get him gone. He's part of Tottenham's past. He won't be a part of the present, and we need to build for the future. Just get him gone. I know what you're saying about Arsenal being interested. We don't know if it's, like we just said before, being used to raise the hope that Atletico Madrid get everything in order and we get this sorted. On his day, Romero could be brilliant. On his day, he can be outstanding. But unfortunately at Tottenham, we get the injury ones, and when he's injured, he's out for a while. We get the rash, get the volatile. Sometimes we get the brilliant. And a lot of times we get, for prime example, in that 3-0 defeat to Nottingham Forest, the jog back for that second goal, which for me was the final straw. For me personally, with Coutinho Romero. I wish him well in everything he does. But it's amazing that we got this far into the window. Yes, there was a World Cup, but we got deals done. And no one has really come in for this player that everyone said will go for 60, 70 million. Once he's available, the whole footballing world will want a piece of him. And they haven't. So I think Arsenal have obviously known there's a big injury to... It's Saliba, isn't it, that's got the long injury?
Yeah.
Is it? So they're obviously trying to get round the defender. And obviously Romero's on the way out, and they've made an inquiry. That's not going to happen, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I think obviously we're not in the business of doing any business of Arsenal, that's for sure. And it sounds like Romero isn't entertaining it. But look, he looks like he's off to Atletico Madrid. We're going to get the money. Sounds like they're not going to get the fee that we would have liked for him. But we're going to get, some sort of fee. We're going to be able to reinvest it. It's going to be less than, probably what we even got for Vuskovic, which is incredible to think about. But I think we just have to move on from this situation, and we have to just think to the future. At the end of the day, De Zerbi's been quite clear that Romero has made it clear he wants to leave. I think Spurs, from our point of view, as good of a player he is, I think from the hierarchy's point of view, he makes a lot of noise, doesn't he? And he makes trouble with his statements, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, whatever the fans think about it, the club won't like it, will they? That he does all that kind of stuff. All these social media posts and whatever. I don't mind it personally, but I know if you're the hierarchy, you're not gonna be a fan of that. So looks like there's compromise on both sides, and this is nearing completion at the moment for Cuti Romero. So looks like he is on his way out the door.
Let me just add one little bit to that. Now, obviously, when it comes to the mouthing off at the board and saying anything, as you know, I highly supported that part at times because of what was going on with the man that is now in my rearview mirror. But when one of the highlights people spoke about was Romero's passing and being able to break the lines, well, Spurs have upgraded that with Zanesi and Van Hecker, who, if you look at stats, categorically and factually has better passing than him. So Spurs have replaced that massive part of his game with two superior passers of the football, and now De Zerbi has his defence. And like you said, he has said that players that don't want to be at the football club, well, we're going to find a way to get them out of the football club. Happened with Vuskovic. Remember, like you just said, with Vuskovic, when he was available on loan, the whole world wanted him. The whole world wanted him on a loan. The second it was no, you can only buy him. Brighton were the only team that put... And fair play to Brighton, they put their money where their mouth is, but for this hot shot that the whole world wanted on loan, when it came to putting money down, no one wanted to, did they?
No, it's true. And I think maybe his stock isn't as high at the moment, one sec, as he thinks it is. So, look, I think... one sec. Okay, so looks like he is on the verge of joining Atletico Madrid, and this saga is set to come to a conclusion, which is best for everyone. Let's talk about Souza. Let's talk about Souza. According to Edward Burgess, who is a Brazilian journalist, he says Souza is now expected to stay at Tottenham this season. De Zerbi is his biggest backer. The Italian has blind faith in the Brazilian, at least to serve as a game changer, whatever that means. So according to Edward Burgess, Souza could be set to stay in the Tottenham first team this summer. I mean, it's very odd, isn't it? I mean, yep. Souza, why would we keep him? We got Robertson a doggy. He's a left back by trade. I've seen some suggestion, does that mean Spence is on his way out? But he doesn't even play the same position as Spence. So what do you think De Zerbi sees in Souza that could be making him want to stay? Want him to stay?
I don't know, because I was doing an update with Ben last week, the week before, and it looked like he was going to Porto.
Yeah.
And I believe it was Porto, wasn't it? Or definitely a Portuguese club. I think it was Porto. And it looked like it was going for 20 mil or something. And it looked like, well, that was a nice experience, wasn't it? We haven't seen enough of him to see what he's actually fully capable of. The only person that's seen him totally is Roberto De Zerbi. He didn't go on the tour, did he? Was he injured?
No. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he wasn't on the tour. He didn't play at all, did he?
So who knows? We'll see tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get, if this is what De Zerbi is thinking, maybe we'll get a glimpse of him tomorrow.
Yeah, you would have thought he would play a bit in this pre-season if this report is true. Exactly.
Like you said, we all thought that he'd be out on loan because of Robertson. Then you had Destiny, and then obviously before the World Cup, we're like, okay, Spence can play there if need be, if he's still at the club. Then you got Van der Ven, then you got Ben Davies. So you thought a loan would have been the outcome for Souza, it would have been written on the wall for all our Spurs fans that have seen how Spurs operate. Then it looked like a sale. Now apparently De Zerbi wants him, so hopefully we'll get to see some of that in pre-season.
Yeah, I mean, he's been okay every time he's played, hasn't he? I think a lot of fans have been a bit excited. Obviously, he came in very difficult circumstances last year and did okay in his little cameos, but I don't know if anything suggests he's ready, and I don't know what kind of position he would play if he stayed. So I think the whole thing is fairly odd. I don't know how much I believe this report. I think he'll be on his way out, either permanently or on loan. I don't think he'll stay because I just don't see where he fits in. I know there was one game he played at right wing, but I don't think De Zerbi has that. Yeah, Liverpool away at Anfield. But I don't think De Zerbi has that in store of him. Unless De Zerbi sees something that we don't, and maybe he's got a surprise in store. I'm not sure I believe this report from Edward Burgess. So,
yeah.
But
I mean, the one thing I will say about him, Sim, what I did like about him, highly like about him when I saw him, is he certainly didn't shy away from a tackle. He picked up a yellow card or two, and he goes full throttle into those tackles. He ain't scared about putting his weight about. So that was, obviously, it's such a small sample size. Could you imagine he'll end up being the right winger that we don't get? And he'll fill in, and he'll end up being like the greatest right winger you've ever seen, and De Zerbi found it.
Souza has blown De Zerbi away so much, we're just not going for Savinho anymore.
Exactly. Forget Savinho. We've got another Brazilian ourselves. No, I'm with you. I think this deal does go through, and it might be a lot of talk to like De Zerbi did with Solanke, to raise confidence and boost morale. So he sees the manager talking about him, and maybe attract a few watchers. I can't see him. I can't see him staying.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about Djed Spence now. So Djed Spence, according to Ben Jacobs, Djed Spence has been offered to Man United as he considers leaving Tottenham this summer. The defender's representatives have also offered him to Liverpool, with Spence seeking regular first-team football. Tottenham value him at around 35 million, although Man United have not yet decided whether to pursue a move. He's also said that there are reports of him linking him to Liverpool, but he is Liverpool actually not pursuing him. And he's then they're not interested in him. So, I mean, what do you think of us offering him to a club like Man United, who are a potential rival for us this season? Like, do you think that is a smart thing to do? Do you think we should be offering him to the likes of only like Everton or a lower team like Man United? Obviously, I know they're in Champions League. Is it a case of whoever offers the money doesn't really matter, just let him go, or do you not like the idea of offering him to a team like Man United?
Again, with certain transfers like this, I'm again going to stick to my golden rule of no Ornstein, no news. I've stuck by it all summer. I'm going to stick by it for the rest of it. I think the main aim or the main point of Djed Spence and his future at the football club is, after the World Cup he did have, he's going to want regular first team football.
Yeah.
He knows he's not going to get it at right back, as in the number one, because Pedro Porro is obviously nailed on for that number one spot, and his reliability of staying fit and his availability is second to none at the football club. Will he get games at left back where he has played his best football? Djed Spence, we bought him as a right back. He's a left back now, isn't he? If we look at what his best performance in the Spurs shirt, left back. Best performances for England, left back. So I think this is more than just Spence going, right, I need first team football, and Spurs are probably... I'm looking at it in my positive way of life right now, is thinking Spurs, if they want a player out the door, to bring in money, to hopefully... If there's ever a window to say Spurs will reinvest in player sales in the first team squad, it's been this window. So if it means Spurs' bigger picture is to make some more pieces of our jigsaw complete, get rid of some hard choices, then so be it. But Liverpool, I heard, I didn't know Liverpool had come out and said they're not, because I thought that one was going to heat up. I thought that one could. We shall see where Djed Spence ends. Do I think it'll be in a Spurs shirt? Unless there is like a big injury that comes in pre-season. I just can't see it, because I think he, rightfully so, at 25 and after a World Cup he has had, he's going to want first team football.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's off. I think he's got such incredible self-belief in as well that I think he'll believe he should be starting somewhere. He'll see how he's kind of risen from from obscurity to playing at a World Cup in 18 months, and he's always been a guy who has high level of confidence. So he'll be looking at the situation. I think this summer thinking my stock's high. Tottenham are open to selling me. I think I'm going to go. And if a team like Liverpool, Man United, one of those big teams, I'm sure he's after those. But I don't know if he ends up there. I think in theory, they should be after him. But I wonder if he goes to maybe a level below that in terms of the size of the club. I'm curious. I think obviously 35 to 40 million is probably a fair price for him. Allows us to again get a good money through the door and invest it in areas that are more pressing for Tottenham. I do wonder, I know there's been links to Nico Williams. I do wonder if De Zerbi is eyeing Archie Gray as his Spence replacement.
Ooh. RDZ will know best. I think Archie Gray is a midfielder. But obviously that man knows a lot better and sees him a lot more often than I do. He's played there countless times for Leeds. Got into team of the season when he was there. Will he be that? Maybe. Maybe until we can find someone to bring in and then put him back in midfield, because he offers that option. And obviously with the midfield as stacked as we are, we shall see. But like I said, I think Archie Gray's got a big career and a big future, and I just hope it remains in the Tottenham Hotspur shirt.
Yeah, me too. I think obviously he's played at right back a few times this pre-season, so yeah, I do wonder could he be looking at Gray and thinking you could be my backup for Porro if Spence leaves and maybe save us a bit of money. All right, another transfer story, not the most reliable. This is coming from Sport Witness, and they're talking about Conor Gallagher. They're claiming Besiktas have made an offer for Conor Gallagher to take the player away from Tottenham on loan. I mean, would you be open to allowing Conor Gallagher go on loan to Besiktas, Brian?
No.
That's it. Okay. No.
Do you know what? I've got. So, I think he can offer Spurs a lot. I do. I don't understand a lot of the hate he's getting from Spurs fans. I really don't. But again, this is just me from my opinion. I think he came in under very bad times. He came in when we were crying out for forwards and creativity. Then Tudor was playing him out of position. Then obviously when De Zerbi came in, we saw performances at home to Brighton where Conor Gallagher was the Conor Gallagher. We've seen bags of energy, making everyone's life uncomfortable. Again at Aston Villa. And I think we saw patches of what Conor Gallagher could offer Tottenham Hotspur. Now, again, we're looking at, there's rumours with Bentancur going as well, isn't there? There have been like just little rumours and whatnot, but I don't think Conor Gallagher should go out on loan. I really don't. Unless it facilitates something like again, I'm going to keep saying his name, Morgan Gibbs-White, and we have to free up space, then that's different because then we need that creativity and we need goals guaranteed, which he is. But I wouldn't get rid of Conor Gallagher on loan. I just wouldn't. What about you?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't make sense right now. We'll get into Maddison in a bit, but he can't be relied upon at the moment. We need someone who can just fill in that kind of third midfielder role, and a more attacking midfielder role. And I know Gallagher has his detractors, and I don't love him in that role, but he's the one that I think is best suited to it right now. And hopefully, there were signs last season of De Zerbi getting more out of him. I think with the pre-season under De Zerbi, hopefully he can go on to a new level. I do think there's a good player in there. And it wouldn't make sense to leave ourselves short and send him on loan. Why would we loan him? If they come in with a big bid, okay, that's one thing. But loaning him out makes zero sense. I think this is one of these dodgy Turkish sources probably putting this out there. I don't think there's any chance.
Is he one that speaks exclusively in bullshit, as you would say.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not as much as Ekram Kunar, but yeah, sport witness you can't really rely on as well.
There we go.
Yeah, but not quite Ekram Kunar levels.